2023 interview, 2024 mains, 2024 interview, very, very important. Last 4-5 years, numerous things happened with respect to forest. Current affairs. This is current affairs with respect to tribals and forest. Conservation Rules 2022, Forest Protection Amendment Bill 2023, Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. So with respect to forest and tribals, what happened in the last 5 to 6 years, we will be discussing now, which will be helpful for your 2023 mains, 2024 prelims, mains, interview, current affairs. First is Forest Conservation Rules 2022. What Forest Conservation Rules 2022 told and how it will be applying or how it will be having implication on tribals, we will be discussing now. So what are the provisions of this particular rules? In prelims, if you notice, compulsory every year one question will be there on electronic waste rules, municipal solid waste rules, IT rules, such rules one questions will be there. So this is one of the expected question which is called as Forest Conservation Rules 2022. What the Forest Conservation Rules is telling that? The Forest Conservation Rules is telling that now exclusive power is vested in central government. Central government is having more powers. Central government will be controlling the forest areas from now on. States to ask central government permission for forest and beyond 5 hectares of land. Means if any 5 hectares of land forest is converted to any non-forest purpose, now onwards the state government should compulsory take the permission from the central government. But understand that according to 1976 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, forests were being kept under concurrent list. So state government can make a law and central government can make a law. But now this is telling that now if we are converting the forest area into non-forest area, if the area is more than 5 hectares, then compulsory I have to get the permission from central government. First rule. This is via a specially constituted committee called as Forest Conservation Committee. So now a Forest Conservation Committee will be constituted. That Forest Conservation Committee will be studying whether to give conversion, whether to give permission to conserve or to convert the forest land to non-forest. First rule is what? If the state is planning, state government or state is planning to convert the forest area to non-forest purpose, if the area is more than 5 hectares of land, I have to compulsory get the permission from central government. It is nothing but in 1976 we have shifted forest from into the congruent list. That means state is having the power and center is having the power, but this rule is giving more power to center. This can be written as anti-federalism. This can be also written as an example for center-state relations. Number one, first rule. Second rule, compensation. The Forest Advisory Council approvals also means that future users of the land must provide compensatory land for afforestation. So second thing is telling that now onwards compensation is mandatory. But what is compensation? Compensation is telling that if I am a corporate company, if I am taking some forest area, compensation is mandatory now. So central government will be giving me power to convert the forest area into non-forest area if I compensate. How? In 2 ways. Number one, if I take 100 hectares of forest land, then I have to buy another 100 hectares of forest land. In that 100 hectares of forest land, I have to put plantation. Plus, per every hectare, Forest Advisory Committee will tell to pay the penalty up to 10 to 15 lakhs per every hectare. Means what? If any private company is ready to compensate in the form of plantation and ready to give the compensation in the form of 10 to 15 lakhs per hectare, any corporate company or any private company with the permission of central government can convert the forest land into. But the criticism is, then every corporate company will be ready. Why? Because now what they will tell, already ready-made forest they will take and they will destroy it. They will buy a barren land and they will tell that now we are going to have plantation. So that plantation to become forest, how many years it will take? Means what is happening? Carbon sink is reducing. Carbon sink is reducing. Why? Because ready-madely wherever forest is there, I am giving the permission for non-forest use, so he will go for deforestation. Carbon sink will reduce or not? I am going in the form of compensation and I am developing a forest. But today I am coming up with plantation. By what time it will become the forest, we don't know. Carbon sink is reducing. Forest conservation rule. Number one, more than 5 hectares of land, the state should get permission from the central government. Number two, for the compensation now, there is a provision for compensation when they are going for plantation, but for plantation it will take huge time. Number two, there is also penalty for every 1 hectare of land, they have to pay 10 to 15 Second point. Third point, they defined forest land. Understand this. Those deemed forests listed by the state governments up to 1996, they told that up to 1996, what were being identified as the forest will be called as forest from now. Means from 1996 to 2022, 1996 to 2022, how many years? 22 years plus 4 years. 26 years. In this 26 years, what are all the new forest area is developed will not be identified as? Means this 26 years, what are all the new areas which were being developed as forest can be easily converted to non-forest purpose. Why? Because we are identifying the forest only as those areas which were being identified as forest before. More exploitation of the forest. Number 3. Land which belong to railways or other ministers on which forest has come up will no longer be considered as forest. For example, there are some government lands, there are some railways lands, there are some ministers, means government of India's ministries lands. In those ministries, once upon a time they did plantation and it became a forest. Those areas also will not be called as forest. So what does it mean? Those areas can be easily converted to non-forest purpose. So more of exploitation by this forest conservation rule. 4 points we got. Next, 5th point. No approval is needed for strategic projects. For example, 100 kilometers from international borders. If we are coming up with, if any forest we are removing, there is no requirement of taking permission from central government. Any authority like National Highways Authority also, they can go and they can go for deforestation. So easily deforestation can happen if we implement this forest conservation rules. If deforestation happens, who will suffer? Tribals will suffer. How many points are there? 4 rules are there. The first rule is what? Now the central government is having more power that if they are going to convert the forest more than 5 hectares, who should give the permission? Central government. Number 2, compensation is there. They can convert the forest land to non-forest land if the same amount is being planted. But plantation takes a lot of time. As well as there is also money compensation in the form of penalty. Number 3, forest land before 1996 only will be recognized as forest. The forest area which got developed from 1996 to 2002 will not be recognized as forest. So these areas will be easily converted to non-forest purpose. Why? Because they are not identified as forest. Number 4, railways or ministries areas which were being developed as forest will not be called as forest. That means they can easily be converted to non-forest purpose. 5th, there will be no approval if from bordering area, in strategic areas, from border to 100 kilometers, that particular department or that particular ministry by their own discretionary power, they can go for deforestation without the approval of central government. These are the new forest conservation rules of 2022. So it is directly promoting what? Deforestation. Next, the forest conservation rules also told that the responsibility of, see, up to now, Forest Rights Act was having the power. If forest area need to be converted to non-forest area, Grama Sabha should be given permission. Approval should be taken from whom? Grama Sabha. But forest conservation rules is telling that no requirement of approval from Grama Sabha. If you get approval from central government, it is enough. Means Grama Sabha became diluted. When the Grama Sabha became diluted, Forest Rights Act became diluted. So forest conservation rules has took the power from whom? Grama Sabha. When the Grama Sabha doesn't have power means grassroots level democracy. People's choice, people's decision is not respected. Whose decision is respected? Central government. What central government want? The central government want to shift from forest to non-forest. Responsibility of settling forest rights and diversion of land lies with the state government after the final approval of the central government. This goes against Grama Sabha's decisions under forest. Now, they also told, new forest conservation changed the rule of penalty. It replaced imprisonment. Earlier, if anyone goes against the wish of the government and illegally if they fell the trees, imprisonment was the punishment. Now, it is not imprisonment, it is only penalty. People will be fear for penalty or people will fear for imprisonment. So the punishment was been shifted from imprisonment to penalty. Let them see, first I will go. Why? Because it is only penalty. If you are going on a bike and he took a photograph, you will not worry. Why? Because anyhow 135 rupees I have to pay. If they catch and take the bike, we will be more worried. Imprisonment will be more worrying the people. So they shifted from imprisonment to penalty. So this forest conservation rules is promoting indirectly what? Deforestation. Impact on tribals. Tribal impact. For us, what we have to understand is not about the forest. We are bothered about tribals. Impact on tribals. Main impact, Forest Rights Act, which guaranteed Grama Sabha approval, was diluted. So eventually, the tribals will lose their land. Eventually, the forest will be converted to non-forest purpose. Eventually, when the forest is converted to non-forest purpose, they will lose their livelihood. They will lose their survival. Displacement will happen. Impact on tribals. Shift the responsibility of the union government to take the consent of Adivasis. Now, Adivasis doesn't have any shit. They doesn't have any power now. It is shifted to whom? According to Forest Rights Act, who is the power? Grama Sabha. For every approval, we need to get the permission from Grama Sabha. Now from whom? Central government means authority. Up to now, we used to promote grassroots level democracy. Now there is no grassroots level democracy. For example, if we want to convert the forest land to non-forest land, I should get permission from Grama Sabha. Now it has been removed. So I have to take permission from whom? The forest conservation rules aims to make land available for compensatory afforestation easier. When I will take the forests, but I will do compensation. Deep forest I will take, barren land I will develop. Already it is ready-made. We want ready-made or we want to develop? People want ready-made. Ready-made forest is telling the ready-made forest you are taking and you are deforestating it and you are developing a forest. And with what time? What will happen after 20 years? After 25 years? We don't know. If I take the land of forest and if I convert into non-forest, who is the first person who will be impacting? This is the impact of Forest Conservation Rules 2022. Tell me what are the points. Number 1, Forest Conservation Rules 2022. Central government is having more power. Second, compensation is added. The compensation is not positive, negative. Compensation is added. Third, definition of forest. Only those areas which were been identified as forests till 1996 will be identified as forest. Fourth, strategic locations like railways, ministries which were been developed into forest will be not identified as forests. Next, from 100 kilometers from the international borders will be not, there is no requirement of getting permission from the central government. Then and there they can go for deforestation. Next, Grama Sabha have no power. Seventh, the penalty has been reduced from imprisonment to fine. Implication 1, Grama Sabha doesn't have the power. Number 2, compensation is made easy. When the compensation is made easy, the forest will be converted to non-forest. If I am not wearing helmet, if the penalty is 135 rupees, sometimes fine. If the penalty is 5,000 rupees, when the penalty is for one photograph 5,000 rupees, I will not do risk. Why? Because the penalty is very high. So that penalty should be very high if it is deforestation. If it is compensation, but the penalty they converted from imprisonment to fine. Next, Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2023. What is this Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2023? Recent amendment bill. This is going to amend Forest Conservation Act 1980. They are going to change the name of the act also. Forest Conservation Act 1980 will be called as Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023. The aim of the proposed changes is to build forest carbon stock by raising plantations. Now, positively we are understanding. This amendment is telling that more plantations, but by deforestation. You go for plantation, but don't allow forest to convert into non-forest. You are allowing forest to convert into non-forest and you are allowing that plantation, afforestation. So, positive thing is more afforestation by plantation, first one. Second one, make land available for compensatory afforestation. Now, land available for compensatory afforestation means if any corporate is going to take the forest and going for deforestation, a land will be available for them for compensation. Means you have to go and do plantation there. So, now the land is available for afforestation. But now the forest will be taken from forest to non-forest purpose. Compensation, afforestation is available. The bill adds that central government may issue directions. Who is powerful now? Central government. De-reservation of forest or use of forest land for non-forest purpose. Up to now what? Reservation. What? Forest land cannot be converted to non-forest. But now de-reservation means what? Forest land can be used for non-forest purpose. By what? By an amendment. Such restrictions may be lifted with the prior approval of the central government. Non-forest purpose can be a horticulture of land for cultivating horticulture or any other purpose. The amendments also allow forest land up to 100 kilometers near India's borders to be appropriated without central government. Means what? What are all the things which were been present in rules now became legislation. What are all were been rules means what? Like a policy. Rules means what? I can change on any day. But act means a legislation. So forest conservation rules almost are part of Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2020. Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. This is also, it is still bill only. Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. It is telling that the bamboo which is called as a tree in forest area, they cannot cut it. But the bamboo which is present in private property, I can cut it, I can use it for commercial purpose according to this. According to Indian Forest Act 1927, every bamboo is a tree which is not allowed for deforestation. Bamboo is a forest product if it is present in private property or public property. But this amendment is telling that if bamboo is present in private property, they can cut it and they can use for commercial purpose. But if the bamboo is present in public property, like in forest, then it will be called as tree. When it is called as tree, we cannot go for deforestation. But however, a bamboo can also be planted in private property. So what? Afforestation. To promote afforestation, you develop bamboo. Let it be. If you want to, you sell it. So people will be motivated to go for more bamboo plantation. That is the intention of Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. First point with respect to. Second, power to India's forest officers. Now, forest officers have the power. They are given with weapons. They also power to kill more than the range officers. More than the range officers will be given the weapons according to this amendment bill. They have the power to shoot. More powerful. Indian forest officers are becoming more powerful by this amendment. Third, a forest development cess of up to 10%. There will be private contractors like teak, for paper, for pulp. So there will be 10% cess will be levied for the development of forest. A new category of forest called as production forest. A new category of forest will be developed which is called as production forest, whereby teak will be produced there, sandalwood will be produced there. So a production forest, a new concept came into existence for commercial purpose. They can develop the forest. After forest got developed, they can use it for commercial purpose. These are what? Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. Bamboo, more power for Indian forest officer. 3, cess of 10% cess. 4th, production. This case you have to remember. T.N. Godavarman Tirumalpad case 1996. Any answer on environment, any answer on tribal, this judgment you can add. 1996, which is called as T.N. Godavarman Tirumalpad case. In this particular case, the Supreme Court, the CJI of the larger bench, Verma, told that felling of the trees in forest areas should be completely banned. Felling of the trees with the permission of central government also should be banned. A landmark Supreme Court judgment in T.N. Godavarman Tirumalpad case 1996 told that tree felling and non-forestry activity in forests across the country be stopped, no deforestation. The judgment which is talking with respect to deforestation, no felling of trees, under which judgment? T.N. Godavarman Tirumalpad case. This is about current affairs. This is about current affairs. How many we discussed? Forest Conservation Rules 2022, Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2023, then Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017, and we had a judgment. Accordingly, we have to use them. Fine? Any doubts? This PPT, you have to write by your own words. You are becoming ready-made. What you do? Watch the recorded video, open it, look it and write. Some physical activity should be there. This PDF will not be shared. You have to write. Sir, you are in between, I cannot see. At some point I went this side or that side. Pause, write it. See what will happen. Now, this all I can dictate also. But I don't believe in dictation. I believe in explanation. This all we cannot see. If Forest Conservation Rules 2022, Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023, only these concepts I can explain you and I can dictate you for 1 hour. But how many topics we discussed? More topics we have to discuss. It's more. Nowadays content should be more. Information should be more. You have to understand also. I told you the main points, the most important points. If you do Google, lot of information will get, copy paste. But this should be in your answer. impact on tribals. These all directly impacting tribals. You understood the highlights, provisions, and criticism also you understood. Critically evaluate. Forest Conservation Rule 2022, critically evaluate. Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023, critically evaluate. Indian Forest Amendment Bill 2017. Any answer you can ask, you can write TN Godavarman Tirmalpad case 1996, which told that tree felling is completely stopped across India. No deforestation at all. If central government gave permission also, still gave highest importance to forests. Eventually tribal survival. I told you yesterday this. What I told, if any judgment is there, if I want to reverse a Supreme Court judgment, then I have to make a law. That is the law. If any constitutional bench gave a judgment, if I want to reverse it, then I have to make Constitutional Amendment Act. For example, Indra Sahani case yesterday I told you. Indra Sahani told if not more than 50%. Then I gave 10% to EWS. How it is possible? It is possible only because TN case, Godavarman case. Supreme Court gave the judgment. That is the reason Forest Conservation Amendment Bill 2023. PACE Act, we will discuss about this tomorrow. Complete PACE Act, 25 years of PACE Act 2021. 25 years of PACE Act, Forest Rights Act 2000. In detail we will discuss. Forest Rights Act. Criticism on Forest Rights Act. Pradhana Mantri Adi Adarsh Gram Yojana, new government scheme. Pradhana Mantri Adi Adarsh Gram Yojana. What is community forest resource? Inner line permit. There is something called as inner line permit. This we will discuss tomorrow. Then there is a debate. Elvin Gurye debate. This debate we will do. Very Elvin Gurye debate. Then Naxalism. We will discuss about Naxalism. By Saturday, we will complete 7.3. You will have exam 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 7.1, 7.2 and 7.3. Okay, Pranav, you can message me that. I forwarded you Ministry of Tribal Affairs. As you are preparing for 2024, you can add those figures. If you want to make summary of it, if you give some time, I will make and I will give. ZAXA committee recommendations, I made summary that I will be sending today. Complete summary of ZAXA committee. If you have command on Big 4, Polity, Economy, History, Geography, and your optional till 2023 December 31st. You will clear your prelims, you will get lot of confidence in your mains. If you get an idea how to write an essay, if you get an idea how to study or prepare for ethics, it's enough. Why? Because after prelims, anyhow you will do exclusive. Why? Because it's exclusive mains oriented. So don't worry about it. If you can do, you do. But most important is what high priority is what? Your optional should be completed. Big 4 should be completed. What are Big 4? Polity, Economy, History, Geography. You should not compromise with this 4. Wherever you are studying, these 4 are very, very important. The Big 4. Today's question. Write the genesis of Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 areas. Write the genesis of Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 areas. And what are the loopholes? What are the loopholes in the same? What are the loopholes in the same? 15 marker. What are the loopholes in the same? What is same? Schedule 5 and Schedule 6. Thank you.